Hello all. Let us see about vitamin D, calciferol. Myself, Dr. K.GOMATHI, Assistant Professor, Department of Home Science, Sri Sharada College for Women, Autonomous, Salem. If we see vitamin D, it is not like a vitamin. Mainly, it acts as a hormone precursor than a vitamin. Vitamin D exists in two forms. Vitamin D2 or ergocalciferol from plant sterols known as ergosterol. Another form is vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol. It is a major form of vitamin D in the nature. Here is the flowchart shows the conversion of vitamin D into the active form. From our diet, we consume the cholesterol converted into 7-dehydrocholesterol in the skin, which takes up the UV light from sunlight and converted into free vitamin D3, otherwise known as cholecalciferol. From the skin, the cholecalciferol converted into 25-hydroxy vitamin D in the liver, which in turn appears in the circulation. 75-hydroxy vitamin D is a circulating form which enters into the kidney and other tissues where it is converted into the active form known as 1,25-dihydroxy vitamin D, which is the active form. Here is the source. What are all the sources of vitamin D available to the body? There are two different pathways, one through the skin, another through the diet. The skin is the precursor of 7-dehydrocholesterol. When exposed to UV light, is converted into vitamin D, as we saw earlier slide. During summer, we can get enough ultraviolet rays to produce these vitamin D3. During winter, ultraviolet light cannot penetrate through the fog, cloud, even smoke. And also it cannot penetrate through windows, glasses, or clothing. With regard to diet, animal foods like liver, beef, veal, egg yolk, dairy products, some saltwater fish like salmon, tuna, and sardine are rich in vitamin D. Mushrooms and fortified milk, yogurt, cheese, orange juices, breads, and cereals are rich in vitamin D. Vitamin D content also depends on the exposure of animals to the sunlight. Nowadays, commercially, vitamin D is added to the baby foods and milk powders. In case of requirements for the infants and others, the daily dietary recommended allowances infants and preschool children is 10 microgram per day. Older children and adults is 5 to 7.5 microgram. During pregnancy and lactation, again the requirement increases 10 microgram per day. In the tropical climate, half of the amount will be adequate if the individuals are exposed to direct sunlight for a few hours itself. Now let us explore the functions of vitamin D. Vitamin D maintains plasma calcium. Mainly, it stimulates the intestinal calcium absorption by the small intestine by inducing the production of calcium binding protein. Increasing the resorption from bone when plasma calcium falls leads to osteoblasts where there will be a release of minerals from the bone and the plasma calcium level will be increased. Vitamin D with growth plate and mineralization. Vitamin D provides sufficient calcium for calcification process of bones and teeth. It stimulates the production of osteocalcium protein for osteoblast process in which there will be accumulation of minerals in the bone. In growth plate, Chondrocytes, which produce the cartilages, a type of connective tissue that will be proliferated, differentiated, and become calcified bone. This results in the longitudinal growth of the individuals. Other functions may include it has a role in the cell proliferation and maturation. Vitamin D plays a role in the cell maturation in the skin. It has an active role in the treatment of leukemia, lung cancer, and colon cancer, and inhibit the cell proliferation. Vitamin D increases the rate of reabsorption of phosphorus from the kidney tubules. Vitamin D regulates the level of enzyme alkaline phosphatase in the serum, which helps in the deposition of vitamin D in bone and teeth. With regard to diabetes and vitamin D stimulates the secretion of insulin from the beta cells of the pancreas. Recent days, there will be an increased link of vitamin D deficiency with obesity and diabetes. A study conducted in the New Delhi revealed that over 68% of Indian women are deficit with vitamin D linked with diabetes as well as obesity. What are all the consequences of vitamin D deficiency? Vitamin D deficiency reduces the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus, leads to hypophosphatemia, proceeds hypocalcemia, both the low level of phosphorus and calcium in the serum. Vitamin D deficiency also leads to secondary hyperthyroidism, and vitamin D deficiency results in bone demineralization, the disease known as rickets and osteomalacia. What is rickets? Vitamin D mainly involved in the neuromuscular activity, and its deficiency causes tetany characterized by convulsions, muscle twitching, and sharp flexion of the wrist and ankle joints. You can see the child with the rickets, which leads to vitamin D deficiency. In the osteomalacia, the weakening of bones occurs. There will be a marked softening of bones. Problem with bone formation as well as bone building process cause the osteomalacia. You can easily identify from the picture. There will be a large number of cells in the normal bones. During rickets and osteomalacia, only few cells with size of the cells are increased. This results in softening of bones. Vitamin D linked with cancer. It prevents the tumor angiogenesis and allows for effective communication between cells. And it helps maintain healthy calcium concentration in the cell. Vitamin D also enhances cell death whenever it's appropriate. Vitamin D is not currently recommended for reducing cancer risk. Vitamin D and cardiovascular disease. The plaque formed a result of chronic low-grade inflammation. You can easily see in the heart, there will be accumulation of plaque in the blood vessels. The endothelial dysfunction and LDL particles leads to plaque accumulation. Low level of vitamin D directly linked with double-fold risk of cardiovascular incidences. Hypertension and vitamin D. Vitamin D is a potent endocrine suppressor for renin biosynthesis to regulate the renin-angiotensin system. The increased renin leads to hypertension in the blood vessels. That's why hypertension is very peak in winter, where there will be a limited exposure to sunlight and the obtained UV rays. If we see the vitamin D deficiency, there will be a lot of consequences within each and every system of our body. With regard to brain, vitamin D deficiency leads to depression and schizophrenia. In the circulatory system, there will be an elevated blood pressure and coronary heart disease. With regard to muscle, the general pain and weakness. With regard to respiratory system, asthma and wheezing occurs. In pancreas, low insulin secretion leads to diabetes. With regard to bone, rickets and osteoporosis may occur. Apart from these, autoimmune diseases like Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis may occur. Cancer, influenza, TB may also occur due to vitamin D deficiency. Hence, we should include vitamin D to fight diseases, fight depression for our stronger bones, to fight our cardiovascular disease, and reduce the risk of cancer and type 2 diabetes. Hence, the recommendations, we have to increase our consumption of foods which is rich in vitamin D, and also should have a sensible sun exposure to obtain correct amount of UV rays to convert the active form of vitamin D. Vitamin D supplementation can be taken during winter and those who use sunblock during summer also. We can assess the vitamin D levels in the blood at animal checkup. So these are all the reference which taken for this e-content. Thank you.